Hey everyone, Ryan Grant here, and in today's video I'm going to be running you through 5 beginner mistakes that you need to avoid making in 2025. If you are starting a gym, if you're not starting a gym, whoever you are, however long you've been going to the gym for, you need to avoid these 5 mistakes, my friend, okay? But before I get into these 5 simple but not necessarily obvious mistakes that you guys may think, I just want to touch on how a lot of people, and probably you, look at mistakes in the wrong light, and you shed mistakes in a bad light when that shouldn't be the case at all, right? In my opinion, if anything, I think mistakes are a good thing, okay? You need to think about this, right? Without mistakes, you don't necessarily learn. However, when you learn, that is when you gain knowledge. And when you gain knowledge, you gain power. And then you can use that knowledge and power in order to progress, right? So you need to look at mistakes as an opportunity for growth, right? You don't, when you make mistakes, I know it can feel embarrassing, and I know, you may necessarily never feel as low as that moment, right, when you make a mistake. However, what you need to realize is that that mistake is a turning point for you, because without that mistake you wouldn't have learned that lesson. And when you learn a lesson from making a mistake, you're not going to make that mistake again, right? Well, unless you're daft enough to make the mistake again, right? So the main message I'm just trying to get across to you guys about this is that don't think mistakes are a bad thing. All right, if you're a beginner, don't think that making a mistake is embarrassing. I still make mistakes, and I'm almost 4 years into the gym. I guarantee you someone 10 years into the gym still makes mistakes. All right, that's the beauty of the gym. You're forever learning, and obviously you're going to be, making mistakes along the way. But that's with everything in life, right? If you're trying to start a business, you're going to be making loads of mistakes. When you're in school trying to learn something, when you're trying to learn a maths equation, you're going to be making loads of mistakes, all right? It's all part of the growth, and it's all part of getting to where you want to be. So enough of the waffle, let's get into mistake number 1. So doing too much too soon. And if you're a regular watcher of my channel, thank you very much, by the way, I really appreciate that. You'd know how much I talk about doing things slowly at the start. And what I mean by this mistake, doing too much too soon, is that beginners try and do advanced stuff, and they try and dive into the deep end on day one. All right, and what I mean by this is that they go to the gym and they do an advanced workout split, and they do all of this complicated stuff that they've just seen off this social media guy that says, oh, it's work, buy my program for $15 and you'll get my results in 6 months. And they just fall into the trap, and then they get to the gym and they're like, what the fuck am I doing? And then they realize that they've literally got nowhere, and if anything, they've regressed. All right, and the same thing with diet. They dive into the deep end, and they eat in a calorie surplus straight away. They realize that their calorie surplus is 3,500 calories a day. They've never eaten above 2,500 calories. However, they're just going to do it because, that's what's needed to be done. Obviously, well done for you realizing your surplus and you getting into a surplus. However, you are not going to stick to that, because as I said, you have dug straight into the deep end, and you shouldn't be there on your first day, and you are doing too much too soon. The person that slowly builds it up is going to get further than you doing that, because you're going to come straight back down here. However, the guy doing this is going to keep going up and up and up and up, and he's never going to have a drop. He may have a slight drop, but he's going to keep going up and up and up. However, you're just going to be doing this, right? And you don't want to be stuck in this pattern, do you? Right? There's something that I want to just drill into your head that has really helped me, right? Even now, right, when I make a mistake, or when I don't necessarily know the technique for an exercise, for example, this mindset really helps me. Building the foundations. You have to build your foundations, because if you don't build your foundations, then you're simply going to crumble in the long term when you try and make progression. And what I mean by building your foundations is, think about it like this. Think about builders building a house, all right? In order to build a house, the builders have to lay down a foundation in the ground first, in order for the house to be stable when they actually build the house, right? If they don't lay down a foundation and they just build the house, then the house is just going to fall down, right? So in this situation, if you don't build your foundations in terms of get consistent with the gym, get consistent on a 3 times a week gym routine before going to a 5 times a week gym routine, making sure you're consistent at eating at your maintenance calories before you eat in a calorie surplus, things like that building your foundations. And if you don't do that, then you are simply going to crumble if you just dive straight into the deep end. And think about it like this as well. It's like builders trying to build the roof before building the foundation of the house. Like, it simply just doesn't work. All right, it's like you trying to bench 100 kilos before you've benched 60 kilos. So you're doing too much too soon. Well, no, you're not, but a lot of beginners do, and that is mistake number one. So what I would highly suggest for you is just start slow. All right, before you go on to 5 times a week, go to the gym 3 times a week and get good at that. And then once you've done that and once you've got that dialed in, then you'll be in a position to go to the gym 5 times a week. And that is how you're going to make exponential progress over the long term. And the gym is a long term game, all right? So yeah, that is mistake number one. Now moving on to mistake number two that gym goers make. I said this in my previous video, and I made this in my gym journey as well. And it's not been too long since I stopped this, to be honest with you. Weight over form, all right? If your pure goal with the gym is bodybuilding, aka you want to get aesthetic, you want to build muscle, and you want to bulk, as you know, you want to fulfill your potential in those areas, right? Prioritizing weight over form in the gym is the wrong way to go. I know how tempting it is because, you know, when you get into the gym, when you see that girl you like in the gym, when you see your gym crush, right, you want to impress her. Without speaking to her, you want to, you want to show that you're strong, right? So you just ditch the form and you go for weights you've never done before. And you go for 1 rep maxes every week. And this is simply not the way to go, okay? So yeah, when you're ego lifting and when you're doing these 1 rep maxes every week and when you're lifting weights to impress someone, then you're simply prioritizing weight over form. And I'm not saying that you can't do 1 rep maxes. Don't get me wrong. I've been going to the gym for 4 years and I did my last 1 rep max 10 months ago. So 3 years into the gym, I was still doing 1 rep maxes. However, I wasn't doing them every week like I was at the start of my gym journey, all right? You know, I had 6 months between my 1 rep maxes, so that was completely fine, all right? But if you're doing it every week, then you're simply prioritizing weight and the numbers over form. And this is a really bad habit to get into because form is the key to muscle growth. Performing the exercise correctly is a key to muscle growth. And when you try and lift more weight than you can handle, then you inevitably sacrifice form, right? There's no way around it. If you're lifting weight that is too heavy for you, you're going to, you know, at a cost, sacrifice your form and the correct technique on the exercise. And what this does as a consequence is takes the emphasis of the weight that you're using off the targeted muscle. So you're not going to be placing the stress on your targeted muscle that you need to be placing. For example, if you're on, if you're doing bicep curls but you're doing them way too heavy, then you're going to be using momentum in order to compensate for the heavy weight and the bad form, right? And this is just inevitably going to take the tension off the biceps. Therefore, it's not going to be as effective and you're not going to grow big biceps, okay? So what I would highly suggest for you guys, to avoid this in 2025 is make technique your #1 priority. Because if you get into these good habits, if you get into good habits of performing correct technique consistently, then you can progress that and you can leverage that in the future, and that is going to lead to incredible progress, my friends. So that is mistake number 2 that you need to avoid. Prioritizing weight over form, and you need to prioritize form over weight, my friend. Okay, so now on to mistake number 3, and overcomplication. All right, that is the mistake. Overcomplication in relation to training and diet. Like I said at the beginning of the video in mistake number 1, it's pretty similar, but they're a little bit different. People think that, the more advanced you do things, the more progression you're going to make. However, the reality is, in relation to the gym, and to be honest, if anything in life, for the business, if you try and make things as advanced as possible, you're going to make things harder for yourself. And why would you try and make things harder for yourself, right? You want to make things as easy as possible. In fact, the more complicated you make it, you're not going to make as much progress as you want to. It's all about simplicity in this game. As consistent as you can be and as simple as you can be, then it's going to be a lot easier for you. Therefore, you're just going to be able to progress what you're doing and leverage it and make more progression at the end of the day. It is so simple, all right? Instead of worrying about doing some sextuple drop set, superset, some optimal D-handle shit, right? Just stick to the basic exercises, alright? If you enjoy doing bench press, fucking do bench press, okay? Just because someone may say it's not optimal doesn't mean that it doesn't work, alright? You're going to get further and you're going to make more progression doing exercises that you enjoy over exercises that, you know, are optimal and that are, you know, that can overcomplicate things for you, right? So that is mistake number 3. And with diet, people overcomplicate it ridiculously, okay? All it is, right? If you're a skinny guy who wants to bulk and gain weight, all it is eating big. That's it. Obviously, you want to be eating clean. That can come a little bit later down the line because I can understand how it may be difficult for you to in order to eat pristine, because it's not been long since I've had a fully pristine clean diet, all right? And I've been going to the gym for 4 years. However, all it is just eating big, just eating protein, you know, carbs, healthy fats, you know, taking your creatine, all right? Protein powder. That's all it is. And you're going to gain muscle and gain weight. Not focus on these stupid little micro things. Well, obviously, I know that micronutrients are essential, right? I take micronutrient supplements, but people just focus on the most stupid shit instead of focusing on the basics. And the basics are going to get you further than if you were to overcomplicate this stuff, right? So what I would advise to you guys in 2025 is that this year is a year of simplicity. All right, try and make things as simple as possible, because the more simple you make it for yourself, the easier it's going to be to make progression. Right? You don't need to make things hard for yourself. You don't need to overcomplicate things for yourself. Okay? So that is mistake number 3, overcomplication, and keep things simple. So as I said earlier, instead of doing some stupid drop set, superset, D-handle stuff, stick to the exercises that you like and stick to the basic exercises. All right? Bench press, pec deck, cable flies. All right? Tricep push downs, not any you know, stupid stuff that's just going to mess with your mind, alright? So I'm now moving on to mistake 4 out of 5. So mindset, alright? And what I mean by this is a lot of people when they start the gym feel like they should go to the gym, or they're obliged to go to the gym, or they need to, or they have to go to the gym, instead of thinking that, you know, they go to the gym because they enjoy it or they want to. And what this does is it just creates this psychological battle with themselves. And when they end up skipping the gym because they feel like they have to go to the gym or they need to, they're going to feel disappointed in themselves, and they're going to go down this never-ending spiral of shit and skipping the gym and not doing anything good for themselves. And yeah, mindset is the thing that can change everything for you. And you obviously want to be doing something in life that you enjoy, right? And that you want to do. So making this little mindset switch, instead of thinking about the gym as something you should do, or that you feel obliged to do, or that you need to do, or that you have to do, think of it as something that you enjoy to do. Oh yes, I'm doing chest today. Actually, no, you know what? I'll use an example. So I'm hitting back later. I'm actually excited to go to the gym and hit back, right? It's not something obviously it's something I need to do, but I fucking enjoy it, right? If you didn't have that enjoyment, why would you be doing it? Alright, so you want to be making this little mindset switch, just thinking of the gym. You're going to the gym out of choice because you enjoy it, not because you need to or you have to. Obviously, there's some situations where someone has to go to the gym in order to lose weight if they're like, you know, severely obese, like 800 pounds, right? But I'm assuming you're not in that situation, right? So just think about the gym as something that you enjoy and that you actually want to do. And that is going to make things so much easier for you in relation to consistency. So now moving on to mistake 5 out of 5 that beginners make that you need to avoid in 2025 is changing programs too often, changing your workout programs too often. And this is a huge mistake people make, because what usually happens is that, you know, as I said earlier, people want the new buzz, people want the next best thing, people want the best workout program on the block. Therefore, they're changing it every 2 weeks. But what they don't realize is that they're shooting themselves in the foot and that they're not going to make progress like this. It's the exact same thing as, you know, trying to learn a new skill every week. For example, if you're trying to learn French one week, you want to become fluent in French, and then the next week you want to become a professional rugby player, and then the next week you want to become a pianist, and then the next week you want to get good at chess, and so on, and you know, it keeps going, right? What you're doing here is you're not giving yourself enough time to get good at these skills. And it's the exact same thing with a gym. If you're not giving yourself enough time on these workout programs, then you're not giving yourself and your muscles enough time to progress on the exercise and on the program, because you're going to be constantly resetting. All right, so yeah, so what I would highly suggest for you is to just stick on the same workout program. Okay, so they are the 5 mistakes. Now, bugger off, mate, yeah?